Dedeco, what's going on?
How are you, Ryan?
Glad to be sitting down here with you.
Man, I'm so nervous. Thanks for having
Are
me.
you nervous?
Here.
Have you done any podcasts?
I done couple, yeah,
Have
I
you?
done
Yeah.
couple. But I feel every time I'm going to compete. I get that feeling, butterflies on my
Is
stomach.
that big for a competition for you still? Do you still get those butterflies?
What? Every single.
Every time.
I haven't competed in a long time, but every time that I did, I always asked myself what I was doing there. Every single
Like you didn't
time.
feel like you belonged there?
No, I was scared. I was always scared. But it's funny. I was always scared of what people were thinking about me.
Oh,
And
yeah.
nobody gives a damn.
They're all thinking about themselves.
Yeah, they always think about themselves.
They're thinking
They-
the same thing about them that you're thinking about you.
Exactly. So I always had that. But it's funny. After the fights, I couldn't wait to do it again.
Is that right?
I had that feeling that, oh my God, what am I doing? Why am I doing here? Why am I sitting here? Why am I putting myself through this again? And when the competition was over, I was like, when's the next one?
Is that
I
right?
gotta do it again. Yes.
So
Every single
when
time.
you asked yourself those questions like what am I doing here? Why am I here? What's the answer to that?
Because I love it. I love that feeling. I love it. I couldn't live without that feeling. I could, by that time, after later, I think my fulfillment became like training my students for. That's how I felt the semi-butterflies, because it's funny. Watching my students competing or preparing there, that feeling was 300 times worse. Because
When it was you.
when it were them.
Oh, when it was
competing.
them.
Yes.
Because you can't be out there.
Exactly.
There's no control at that point.
No control. No, I had no idea what they were thinking. They were feeling. I don't know how that day before were. I don't know if they slept good. I don't know if they did what they were supposed to do.
Right.
Oh my God, that was watch my students were way worse than having myself going there and competing.
I know I felt the same way. I've coached my son's football and baseball teams for, probably 5 or 6 years now. And I agree with you.
You agree?
If I'm out on the football field, I'm going to be nervous, but at least I can directly impact and affect the
Yes.
game. But once I'm on the sideline,
No.
it's just what I've done up to that point. And in my head, I'm like, I hope what I've done up to this point is enough
Yes.
that they can compete successfully.
100%.
Yeah.
And I'm very hard on myself. And every time that they lost, doesn't matter the reason, always was my fault. In my mind, always was my fault. I didn't train them enough. I didn't give them enough advice. My game plan wasn't good enough. If I told them to take some actions in the middle of the fight, that because some students, they follow you whatever you asking them. So some students, they go through the wall because of you, and they sometimes some decisions that are on the middle of the fight, I ask them to do it, even they knowing that were the wrong decision, they did anyway.
They still do it.
Yes.
What do you mean through the wall? You said they'll go through the wall.
They go through the wall because they believe so much in you and what you've done or you've done for them. Like if you tell them, hey, don't pass it to, for example, passing guard, right? If I see like many times people competing, I start to look, I say, hey, don't go to the left, go to the right. Even him knowing that the light won't work, the right side won't work well, they would go anyway and they would end up getting caught.
Oh, yeah.
And they would do anyway. Why? Because they believe so much on me that they second guess themselves, but they never second guess my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Which is wrong. They should look in my eyes and maybe say, like shake their heads like, no, man, I'm not going there. Which when they get more experience, they do that. They look that when in the middle of the fight, they have that eye contact with you, and sometimes just by that action, like, no, hey, something is wrong there,
Right. Yeah, I think what a lot of people do is they take everything so literally that they don't realize that there's little nuances and exceptions to these general rules.
100%.
I know I've learned that
100%.
even just over the past couple of days, where somebody might say, you always want to keep your elbows in, but there's maybe an exception where you wouldn't do that, right?
100%.
And if you don't open yourself up to that possibility, then you miss some
You
opportunities.
miss an opportunity.
Yeah.
Exactly. You don't learn it from.
Sure.
You don't learn it from.
But I imagine, too, that just comes with experience and being on the mats, just being in life and just getting the time really is what it takes.
Yeah, it's all about time. It's all about an open mind. Open mind to learn from everyone. Open your mind. You're never going to know enough.
Right.
You never know enough. It's always someone out there that I knows more. I won't say know more than you, but I have more experience than you have. They always have something to teach you.
Yes. Yes. I also think it's it's an ego-driven thing.
100%.
Right, because and look, I'm just getting started, you know that, on my jiu-jitsu journey, but if I'm on the mat and I want to, I don't want to get caught because that's an ego thing, right? So what I will refrain from doing is experimenting and just trying something that, well, maybe this will work, maybe it won't work, but if I don't let go of my ego, I won't even try that thing.
Yeah. And you won't learn.
Right.
You won't learn.
Yeah.
When I train my competitors, one thing that I tell them is this: if you're grappling someone and the person is doing something that's on the training, of course, not on the competition. If someone try a technique against you that you cannot recognize the technique or what he's trying to do to you, allow him to do it.
Oh, let him play it out.
Let him play, because you're gonna learn. I grapple. I don't even know how many mats I did. I mean, I'm exhausted.
I can't.
I'm sore everywhere. Everything hurts. Many of the guys that I grapple doesn't matter belt. Talking about, I grappled white, blue, purple, brown, and black belts. Each one that I grapple, they did something that I didn't know. Why? They come from different schools. They come from different lineage. They have techniques a little different the way that they do. Everyone that I was grappling, I felt something that I couldn't really recognize what they were going for. I gave everybody. I let them work on me. Why? Now I know it.
Right.
If someone else try, I know I won't be so stranger for me what they are trying to do against me. And that's what one of my principles in a competition class is this: hey, let it happen. Let it happen. So when you go to a real competition, you won't get caught.
Right.
You know, when the real time comes, you will prepare pretty much for everything that they're gonna throw at you.
Yeah. And that's what I've noticed too, is that even just over this week, if I can train and roll with different, definitely experience levels, but different body shapes too. You know, you have this big barrel-chested guy, and he's going to move significantly different than a smaller, maybe longer, wiry guy. And experiencing as much variance in that, I think, will ultimately probably serve me a little bit better.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Everywhere. You gotta work with everybody. Everybody. You know, an explanation that I do, Jiu-Jitsu, it's our fingerprint. You know, each one of us have a different game. The technique is the same. The armbar, the triangle, they all the same.
Sure.
But the way that we're gonna apply, it's totally different. I'm gonna do my triangle in one way because I have my limitations, my body, the way that I move my body, the way that I do. You're gonna do totally different that I do. You're gonna put it like you're gonna fit for your style, for your body. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I explain everybody. I explain everybody, my students, like when I teach something, I say, hey, if it works for you doing that way, keep doing it. That's the way that's going to work for you. It's not the same way that it's going to work for me. I mean, my teacher, De La Riva is a 145 pounds guy.
Yeah, so I'm a small guy.
Small guy, skinny guy. I'm a 265 pounds guy.
Yeah.
He actually helped me understand that, and I adapted everything that he taught me to my body weight. And that helped me like tremendous in everything that I did in Jiu-Jitsu.
I think that's probably why there's so much opportunity to learn, because when you look at it from the outside looking in, and I feel like maybe I've just put my toe in the door at this point, but when you look at it from the outside in, it almost seems like at some point you would just kind of learn everything. And yet that's not the case, because there's all these little nuances and variables and different styles, like you said. It's just branched into so many different things that you're going to learn something new every time.
It's endless. It's endless. How I see Jiu-Jitsu today, it's endless, because even the techniques that I know, when I watch someone else doing, it's totally different the way that I do.
Yeah.
And I pick something. I pick little detail. I'm like, oh, I really like that one. And I threw in my perfect. We get a great example today. Cristiano, when he taught that.
Right.
Hey, somebody's going to call you. Remember that?
Yes, and he leaned back like that. Right.
Well, I told him, hey, man, I'm putting this in my program. I'm going to call all my instructors when I get back, and they're going to teach in that way.
Yeah.
I love it. So it's always something. And I saw that technique like a million times, but he just put something.
Never like that.
In 32 years.
Isn't that crazy?
Never.
That's how long you've been training jiu-jitsu?
32 years. 32 years.
So how old were you when you started?
I started jiu-jitsu. I'm 45 now. So I start between my 13 and 14 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm going to turn 46 in October. So that's why I say like 32 years, between 13 and 14 years old.
So how did you get into it? What was your introduction? What did that actually look like?
So it's a funny story, actually, how I started jiu-jitsu. So jiu-jitsu, I grew up in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And, you know, it's all over. Everyone knows how Brazil, if you don't know where you're going, can be pretty dangerous.
Yeah, sure.
So, and I had a lot of problems growing up. Around when I was 10, 12 years old, like around that age, I had a lot of problems with anxiety attacks, panic attacks. So,
anxiety, is that what you said?
Anxiety, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's my beautiful Boston
accent. I know, sometimes
accent.
I'm going to translate it. Your Boston accent, that's right.
So, please translate for me.
Yes, I will.
So, I had, anxiety.
Anxiety. Yep.
Anxiety. So, I had panic attacks, and a 12-year-old kid having those feelings, you know, I'm talking about cold sweating. So,
really?
Yeah, got so bad at some point that I wasn't leaving my house anymore.
Wow.
And when I mean leaving my house, let me rephrase that. I wasn't walking in the street by myself anymore. I always thought something was going to happen to me, like somebody was going to kidnap me. Somebody was going to
Did you see something, or were you experienced to something, or just
times.
all the time?
I mean, when I was around 10 years old, they robbed my chain. Chain, did I say right?
Yeah, ripped it off.
Oh, yeah. He stopped right beside me with a little knife, one pocket knife. He put a right hit on my ribs, and he's like, "Hey, give me a chain, give me a chain." And I'm like, and the funny part is, the kid that I robbed him, he was smaller than me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but he had a pocket knife.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So I wasn't going to do anything anyway. You know, I would have given it to him. So I gave it to him, and that's when everything kind of starts. Like, I think that's what triggers a little bit what happened to me after, but it came out like everything. You know, you always see the news, what's going on, and then again, you see it there.
Right.
And I grew up in a great area, but doesn't matter. It's everywhere. So I started having that. And then for 1 year, I should say 6 months, 1 year, my parents started bringing me to psychologists, psychiatrists, and because they saw how bad it was getting.
Right.
Like, I didn't want to leave my house without an adult on my side. So when I was then, I think it was 13, around 13, they brought me to this psychiatrist in Brazil. This guy told them, "Hey, leave the room, and I want to talk with him, just me."
Oh, so they sent your parents out.
Get out the room.
Right.
And it's going to be only me and him. So I don't remember. I think it was an hour. I have no idea how long I was there for. They called my parents in. But he asked me simple questions. Like, you know, he made me draw a couple things, couple questions, but simple questions. And I answer, we talk. So he called my parents inside again. My parents came inside, and he's like, "Listen, I'm not giving him anything. I'm not giving him a pill. I'm not. He has a confidence problem, self-confidence problem.
Yeah.
And I have something that's going to help him tremendous." So he wrote in a piece of a paper a name and a phone number. That was De La Riva.
Is that right?
He's like, he needs to work this martial art. Bring him to this martial art called Jiu-Jitsu, and let's see how he goes. If it works, beautiful. If it doesn't, bring him back.
Sure.
And then we figure out something else.
We can talk about something else.
Here I am today, 32 years later.
That's amazing.
3 months doing Jiu-Jitsu. I was walking on the street by myself. My confidence level up on the roof. I was like, I changed my life. If someone one day needs a proof what Jiu-Jitsu can do for you, I'm one. I'm going to be in the front of the line and say, "Hey, I know how much changed me." And I don't want to say saved my life because I was too young. It's hard to say that.
Yeah.
But definitely changed my life. My insecurity, am I saying right?
Yeah.
Got so bad at some point that at night I was peeing my bed. Like, then that's all related. Like, later they were explaining my parents because I went to that psychiatrist for a couple more times.
Okay.
And he was explaining it's all related. It's everything is happening to him. It's related. And 3 months later, I'm not kidding. 3 months later, I was walking, like going to the street to buy something, buy a coffee, whatever.
Right.
I was going by myself. My parents were like, "What? Is that the same kid that was like here 3 months ago?"
In such a short period of time.
So quick. That's the confidence that a jiu-jitsu brought me. I can't really. It's unbelievable. The feeling, it's unreal.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting too because you were more capable, but I wouldn't say in 3 months you're not completely capable of being able to defend yourself. So it's more than just the capability.
Oh yeah, I think it's just, I don't know what it is. I don't know if you ask me. But what was? Did you learn the magic technique that you were defend a knife? No, I learned the basics, like the most simple things. I don't know what jiu-jitsu gives to you. I do believe it's something up in your head,
Yeah.
that it makes you feel that. Made me feel like, you know what? I don't have to be afraid. I'm getting confidence on myself. And of course, through the process, everything is just kept going. And it's funny. Years later, I was doing jiu-jitsu already. I had 2 situations in Brazil that I got robbed with arm on my head. So the guy put a
with
pistol,
a gun? Oh,
with
wow.
a gun, put a pistol on my head. And I gave it the card, I gave everything, and nothing happened. And it was like just a situation.
It was
happened.
fine. You dealt with it.
Yeah, no problem at all. I didn't stop driving. I didn't stop doing anything. And
That's wild.
yeah.
Do you remember at 12, 13, 14, that time frame, do you remember enjoying it right away, like immediately you knew you were doing right? Or was there some hesitancy even as a child getting into it and you just felt like, oh, mom and dad are making me do this?
No, I was so desperate that I was going to try everything. And
So you wanted to fix things.
Because I tried karate, I tried judo, and it didn't work for me. But that jiu-jitsu thing, it's funny. It's sometimes I gotta say too, De La Riva helped me a lot. When I started that, I was really fat. Like, I mean, that's not anymore. But at some point I lost a lot of weight. Then I gained back after I got married. No, I'm kidding. So what happened is this, I was really fat, right? And when I was doing karate, my self-confidence, instead of the teacher helping me, he brought my self-confidence even lower than I was. Because around 10, my parents were like, okay, he needs, put him in karate, right?
Right.
So not saying bad about karate. It's not karate, it's the instructor. So the guy, I changed belts. And the guy went to touch a belt around my waist. And he's like, hey, man, if you don't stop gaining weight, I might need 2 belts.
Oh, so he was making fun of you. And
10-year-old,
right.
It's
pretty impressionable at that point.
De La Riva, on the other hand, first class, he turned to me. He's like, man, you are a big kid, Jiu-jitsu, your weight is going to help you a lot in jiu-jitsu.
Oh, completely different perspective.
And as I was going, as I got to he earned my trust. I started to really trust on him. Our relationship was getting stronger. He started very gently telling me things like that. Dedeco, you look great, but man, if you lose a little bit of weight, you're going to be way faster. And I'm like, oh, he's like, you don't have to. It's up to you. And I'm like, you know what? I might lose a little weight. And then I start and of course, when I got to his trust, then he was talking to me and the other, like, hey man, you're so fat, lose weight, But
he's earned that.
100%.
And it's coming from a position of respect and wanting you to succeed as opposed to pulling you down, tearing you down.
Yeah, by then, he was my father. He was the guy that I look up to, whatever he said. I know he loved me. I know he was the friendship type of talk, what I'm saying? But before he earned my trust, he was very careful how he would address the weight situation, any situation, which I think is so. I do that with my students today because, it's just a little thing, you got to be careful how you say sometimes, because you might make someone quit just because the way that you treated them.
Even grown men, not just kids, but grown men as well.
100%.
Yeah, because I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy to go into a gym wherever you're at and walk in there completely inadequate. You feel stupid. You've got this weird uniform on that you're not used to.
So weird.
and then you have these other guys who are fit and capable, and they're smashing you, and they're throwing you all over the mat. And a lot of these guys, like I know I do, I pride myself on being relatively fit. I was fairly athletic in school. And then to come into the gym and just get tossed around by guys who were 40, 50 pounds lighter than me. I'm like, what is going on here?
What's wrong, right?
Exactly.
What's wrong? He can't do that, right?
Yeah.
That's not normal, right?
Of course, it is
That's not
normal.
supposed to happen, right?
Yeah, but you, and because it's not supposed to happen, that's another hurdle that somebody has to overcome on this journey.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So you've been doing it since you're 13, 14 years old. When did you come to the States?
15 years ago,
Okay.
in 2004.
What brought you here?
Jiu-jitsu.
Oh, is that
It's
right?
always jiu-jitsu. Yeah,
What
it's always
for
jiu-jitsu.
competing or to train or?
No, so I before I moved to United States, I came here many times for vacation, for compete, for never teach, but like more only competition only and travel. I came here to visit like as a vacation a lot.
Right.
Disney World. I love Disney World.
Oh, is that right?
I love
So you'd
Disney
be in
World.
Florida.
I love Florida.
Yeah.
I love Disney World. I don't. I like Florida. I don't like the heat.
Okay, yeah.
Coming from Brazil, it's crazy, but I don't like the heat. The state in Rio, it's not humid. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
really hot, but it's not humid.
But not humid.
No, not at all.
But Florida is very humid.
That's why I ended up in Mass. So when me and my wife, so it's I came here in 1996 first with Master de la Riva to open a school in Florida. We had an opportunity, but I was too young. I was too immature. I felt really homesick, and I couldn't stay.
So how old were you at the time then?
Oh my God, 96, 23.
Okay, all right.
I born in 73, 23
And
years
that's
old.
the first time. Is that the first time then that you left Brazil indefinitely? I guess you
my
say,
parents.
and then left your
Yes,
parents,
yes,
right? And you weren't
100%.
living with them anymore.
No, I wasn't living
Okay.
with them anymore, and I was moving here
Right.
to teach jiu-jitsu, right, with De La Riva, and
Yeah.
we are going to open a school and everything. So I got homesick. I couldn't stay. I was young, and my life was I was on the top of my career. I was winning everything that I was competing. So I built my name really well in Brazil, and I felt like pretty much like, man, if I leave now, I'm on the top of the food chain. I'm gonna stop now,
Right.
like because I would have to like focus only my students. I didn't know how my life would be here, so I ended up not staying. I stayed 3 months, then I went back to Brazil. In 2000, my teacher, Ricardo Libori, it's all from under Carson Grace, he came to open American Top Team.
Okay.
And he invited me to move over with him. I didn't want to do it because I had a bad experience
Sure.
in 96.
Sure.
And I was too afraid. So moving forward, 2003 I got married. In 2004, something like I felt very unsafe in Brazil. Like unsafe, I mean, things was getting hard. I don't want to say hard, but it was getting dangerous, like with robs, with crime and everything. And one day, I was coming back from my school, and I saw a situation in front of me, a guy with RK, like the
Really?
drug. Yeah, so it's if you look like this as a, we were in I'll say a highway, like Main Street.
Right.
So the favela. Have you heard about favelas? So favelas,
No.
the slums in Brazil, where like it's kind of, it's not really a project. It's
Okay.
way worse than a project.
Okay.
It's way worse.
And that's where you were at the time?
No.
Okay.
My town was a very good town
Right,
that I
okay.
lived in. But the problem is this. Doesn't matter where you are in Brazil, we're surrounded by mountains. And most of by mountains, that's what they call people live there. And people live there like they were on the slums, like the project.
Right.
So
Which is
it's-
interesting because in the States, it's the opposite. Like
Yeah.
the wealthier you are, it seems like the higher you go, right?
No, it's the opposite.
The opposite,
It's
right.
the opposite there. It's the totally opposite. And you live like the most expensive town in Rio de Janeiro. I'm talking about like the most expensive. If you want to buy a house there, probably going to pay like $10 million. It's crazy expensive. The biggest favela, it's there. The biggest
Oh, is that right?
It's crazy. It doesn't make
Oh,
any
yeah.
sense. I know it doesn't make any sense, and I can't understand it too. But that's how it is. So one favela was here, this place where the drug dealers are, whatever. So the guy decides that he wants to go and buy some groceries across the street where the grocery store was.
Okay.
So what they did, they closed the highway, so the guy could cross the highway.
Oh, his crew or whatever?
Whatever it is.
Sure.
Yeah, they came with RKs, that's how it's said. Like RKs, like
Yeah.
pistols, machine guns, everything. And I was one of the cars right on the front.
That they stopped.
Then they didn't rob me. He just pointed the RK towards me and said like, "Hey, don't move." And so the guy crossed it, and then they're like, "Okay, you can go now."
Really?
Yeah, man.
That's
crazy.
wild.
That's why. I'm talking about like It's crazy.
So you're married at this time. So
I
you're
was
like, we gotta
married.
get out of
Yeah,
here.
yeah. And then I got home. I said to my wife, "Hey, I'm done. I'm done. I can't be here anymore. I can't be here anymore." So ended up at the same time, my teacher Liborio called me and said, "Dedeco, I need you over here. We gotta put develop the gi here. I need you." So moving forward, he got me to Florida. Me and my wife moved to Florida, and he said we got homesick. We missed the home. I don't know. We didn't like it. I don't know what. I think was meant to be for us to move to Mass.
Right.
Because we had no reason to don't like, but we didn't like.
It just didn't fit for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you ask me why, I have
Can't
no
put your
idea.
finger
I
on
can't. No.
Yeah.
So then we moved. We moved to Mass. My instructor said, "Hey, we get an opportunity in Mass. The problem is you won't be under my wings." I'm like, okay, let's see what's gonna happen. So we ended up here. We ended up in Mass, and then everything we started, from the scratch. And
Were you training here in Massachusetts under someone else?
No.
So
no,
you
no. I
just
put
started
my
your own school.
Yeah, I opened a small school with one student, and then everything's like.
Were you doing
step by
something
step.
else to provide income for the family?
I was working with. I started working in BJ's overnight,
Okay.
like stocking, like replacing,
yeah.
fixing everything. I always make a joke about that with my wife. It's so funny learning things like every time we are in a store, and sometimes my wife like picks something on the kids department and she leaves on the food department that
You're like, don't do that because
every single time I say,
it.
"Hey, do you know someone's gonna pick that up for you?" Right?
Yeah.
So that was me. So it's funny how you learn today. It's crazy how it is. I always go, I pick the thing and
Put
I
it
put
back
it
where
back
it
in
goes.
place. Yes.
I do the same thing. So I was in retail clothing, and so I'll fold shirts because I know if I'm at a store and I like pull a shirt out to look at it, I fold it and I put it
Because
back
you
because I
used
know
to do that.
somebody's gonna have to do
Exactly.
that if I don't do it.
It's funny how you learn it,
Yeah.
right? That's how I never done that.
Right.
And I learned it like, holy cow, someone does that.
Yeah.
It's not magically, like.
Yeah, it doesn't just get folded and put it back by itself.
No, it doesn't work
put it on
like
the
that.
shelf.
Some magician come at night and like, okay, let's do it. No, it doesn't work like that. It's funny. And I do. So I worked in many jobs because when we moved here, a funny story was, I spoke that in Pete's podcast about that. I was very fortunate in Brazil. I grew up in a very good area. I come from money. My parents have a lot of money. And my wife's parents, the same thing. We come from a very good situation in Brazil. What made us move here was really security. But when we decided to move, I had this feeling in my whole life. I didn't know what were don't have money for something.
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea what it was going to a restaurant and look at the price on the menu.
It wasn't an issue for you before.
Never was, never. And I didn't know what a struggle was. I'm talking about struggle. It's many ways different of struggling.
Yes.
Let me talk monetary struggle. My life in Brazil was like this. I woke up. My apartment in Brazil was in front of the beach. After we got married, my life was waking up, going to my balcony, having my coffee, watching the ocean. I'm like, yeah, the wave is looking good today. I think I'm gonna surf. And then go to surf, leave, go to teach jiu-jitsu. That was my life was settled.
Right.
Was like settled.
Interesting.
Me and her, we decided to move here. I moved here with $100 in my pocket and 5 geese. Everything we did was
5 geese. Is that what
5 geese? Yeah, 5 kimonos, 5 geese.
I always hear that. I had $50. I had $100. I've never heard $100 and 5 geese.
5 geese and $100. Why? Of course, I knew Liborio was waiting for me here. I have everything set up to start teaching and making money.
Right.
But I don't know how crazy that sounds. And some people call me crazy until today, but I wanna have that feeling. I wanna the feeling because it's different when you wanna experience that, but you have a credit card in your pocket that you can just slide the credit card.
Oh yeah.
Right. The feeling that I wanna have, like I don't have anything. I cannot eat. I cannot eat the steak because I don't have the money. I gotta go only with the Caesar salad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I want to experience that. And my crazy wife, which is crazier than me, she wants to do the same thing. She's like,
That's good because it doesn't usually work out like that.
No, she was like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's try. And let's see how that goes. You know, it's funny. Made me way better man. You know what you said about the question? Way better man than I was before. Because I understood what it was. You know, I appreciate every little. So a very simple story. When we moved here, we got our green card pretty quick because of my ability of jiu-jitsu. So when we got here, we applied for our papers, and we got like my green card came like in 3 months. It was really quick process because my ability is what I done before, right? But we didn't have money. My green card, I had to pay $12,000 for the lawyers, the fees.
Really?
Oh yeah, 12. Now we made $100, 5 geese,
right?
$12,000. $12,000, right? But our lawyer, she was like very nice to us, and she allowed us to pay like slowly, you know, through months something.
Yeah.
But you know how we paid our green card? From my wife's tips from Dunkin' Donuts.
Is that right?
All the tips that she used to get. I have until today the picture of like buckets full with like coins, quarters, like dollar bill from the tips. And that taught me, doesn't matter where I go, I tip everyone.
Yes.
Everyone, because that tip was so important in our life. And sometimes, you know, I see people not tipping. I see people not like appreciating that. But, you know, you don't know what the person is going through.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that was us. That was my wife trying to make a living, trying to pay our papers through that tip. And I tip everybody. My wife sometimes tells me that I do too much.
Is that right? Yeah.
But I have that. I feel I owe someone that.
Sure, you have that experience. You've seen the other side of it.
100%.
So you became an American citizen in early 2000s?
2011.
Oh, 2000.
So we got here. We got our green card in 2004.
Okay.
And then my green card was through work.
Okay.
So you have to wait 5 years to apply for your citizenship.
Oh, okay.
So we wait a little more than 5 years. I think we wait 6 or 7 years.
Right.
I'm not sure.
And with your green card, is there a process that you need to renew that as you're doing this?
Yeah, but every 10 years. So we didn't get
so you
to
didn't
that.
Get to that point yet.
No. When we had 5 years, I don't know how it was, but I remember our lawyer called us and say, hey, how long have you had your green card for? And we are like, 5 years. She's like, hey, you guys should apply for your citizenship. It's about, because she's like, are you staying here or are you moving to Brazil? And I told her, no, I'm staying here. I'm not going to Brazil. I'm not moving back. My life is here.
Right.
My family is here. You know, everything. I mean, I created a family here with my kids and everything. Yeah. And we love it here. And she's like, so you guys should apply for your citizenship. And then we did it, and everything went fine. And we became.
We're glad to have you and people like you.
Trust me, the best decision that I made in my life.
Is that right?
The best. I would have go through everything again. I tell this all the time. If I had to do it again, I would have do exactly how I did. No question asked.
Yeah. I want to pivot and shift gears a little bit because I know a lot of the guys listening have known a little bit that I'm again stepping into the world of jiu-jitsu and on the early part of my path, and I've gotten a lot of questions and feedback and guys who want to get involved with jiu-jitsu. So I thought we could spend some time talking about the fun. I imagine you don't want to talk about it, right?
That's what I love it.
You started with, you said, one student.
One student.
Where did that student come from?
He was when I moved here. One guy had a school, and he said that he had 30 students, 30, 40. I don't remember.
Right.
Okay. Then he moved to Florida. I took his school over. Instead of 30, was 3 students.
Really?
Which 2 quit. So it's pretty much 1 student.
He was saying there was 30, but there was only 3?
He was saying there was 30. He was lying. He was lying because he wants someone to take his school over because he had to pay a rent.
Oh, so you didn't buy it, but you assumed the rent.
No. I kind of like, he left and it's like, that's you can go.
So you assumed the lease and the rent and all that stuff.
Pretty much. Now another story. So look my life. Geez. When I moved, he told me he used to rent a space inside of another school, right? And he had an agreement with the guy. So the space is supposed to be $400 a month. So when he move up to $800. So when I went to pay the $400 to the person,
they're like, whoa.
He looked at me, he's like, no, it's $800. I'm like, what? He's like, oh yeah. I don't want to say the guy's name.
Right.
It's like, yeah, he told me he knew that when he was moving to Florida, I was going to weigh 100. I said he never told me. So I ended up like, I told him I can't pay. So the guy kicked me out. So that
Oh
one
man.
student that I had, he's a dentist and he owns a dentist office,
Uh-huh.
and he had a small space on his basement, and he's like, hey, if you want, we can move the school to my basement, and he's like, I'll charge you $300 a month
Sure.
for that space, and you can run the classes there. He's like, at least you have me, and we can do private classes. Years later, he became my partner, my good friend. My wife is actually a dental assistant and works for him.
Oh, is that
He
right?
became a part of the family. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Awesome guy,
That
David is his
is.
name. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
He
really
actually
cool.
follows you.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, he follows you
Oh, that's
in
cool.
Instagram. I think he listens to the
Pretty
podcast.
small world.
Awesome guy.
All of
Yeah.
this stuff is connected.
Yeah,
It's
it
pretty
is
cool.
100%.
Yeah. So when somebody's getting involved with jiu-jitsu or has some desire to at least try it and maybe go to a class or two, what would you suggest that they look for?
First time doing jiu-jitsu.
Sure. Or yeah, first time.
So if someone you want to get involved in the world of jiu-jitsu, I'm gonna tell by steps what I tell when people like here. I got 100 people asking me this question.
Sure.
So what I tell them, number one, everybody that is gonna start jiu-jitsu, and that's I've been teaching for 20, don't even know, 25 years maybe. And what I found is this: everybody that I come through my door, they come from many different reasons. They want to come because they want to lose weight, because they don't have nothing better to do. Sounds funny, but it is true. Some guys say, man, I don't have nothing to do with my life. I'm trying to, my kids are in college. My business is doing so well. I have all the time in the world. My wife doesn't want me at home. I'm going to try this thing. I'm telling you, it's crazy.
A lot of guys are listening like, I want that.
Yeah,
that's
right?
what I want.
So it's, they come because they need something. So it's million different reasons, but they stay for only one reason, and that's what I found. What do they find inside that school? It's not the teacher, it's the family, that group atmosphere. They get so attracted to that group, that camaraderie.
Camaraderie.
There we go, camaraderie.
Sure. Yep.
That's a hard one
Yep.
for me. Camaraderie. That they miss that when they are at home. If they miss one class, I don't know if that happens to you yet.
Oh, absolutely.
But sometimes you're like, man, I know the guys are there, but the class is at 7. Oh, but everyone gets there at 6:30. I am going.
So you go early. Yeah.
Right? I don't know if it happens to you yet,
absolutely.
but that happens all the time. So what I tell them, when they go to a jiu-jitsu school, so they are looking for a jiu-jitsu school, right? They're going to have their reasons, but they're going to start, trust me, they're going to stay for one reason only, what they find in there. A good teacher, a good instructor. Sometimes it's not the best competitor, it's the best teacher. It's not the best athlete, it's the best teacher.
I think that's a common misconception. I think just because somebody is a great practitioner does not translate necessarily into them being a great instructor.
100%. 100%. And I met great competitors, great athletes in my life that they couldn't teach anything.
Interesting.
They were terrible. The same way that I met average guys in the school, and they were the best teachers that I ever seen.
Interesting.
It's very fun about that.
Yeah.
So I tell them to, number one, look for a good school. When you go to the good school, go with an open mind and see, what they are doing there, and see if you fit. If that's what you're looking for. Because if you're not happy, you won't like jiu-jitsu. You have to be happy in the place that you are.
It's funny because as I started jiu-jitsu, I went to a school back where I was, and great school. I had a friend there, but I never really felt like it was my place, if you will. And then we moved here to Maine and came here and started training with Pete and Brian and the rest of the guys, and immediately felt like this is my place.
That's what I like, right? Exactly.
Right. I can see that.
It's 100%. And I have people that come to my school, and I have a very successful school. And some people come there, and 3 months later they come to me and they're like, I want to quit. And I can see that they're not fitting. what I tell them, I say, hey man, don't quit. Look for another place. Maybe here it's not what you're looking for.
Is that why, do you think those people that you're talking about, is that why they're leaving? Is because they don't fit or they don't like it? Like, what is the common reason somebody would throw in the towel?
Because it's hard.
Yes.
Because
no
jiu-jitsu, I don't like to say it's hard because it looks like, oh, it's hard. No. You have to leave your ego at the door.
It's not comfortable.
It's not.
There's
you're
nothing about it
get
that's comfortable.
Uncomfortable. You're gonna hate. You're gonna tap for people that you're gonna be so mad because you were so used to like muscle everybody out. You used to be so fit in what you do.
Yeah.
Successful when everything that you've done in your life, you are so successful. But trust me, jiu-jitsu will put you in check.
Right.
That's what I think the beauty of jiu-jitsu. So it's hard. You need to give yourself time. You have to be humble and understand that it will be very hard. I explain, people see me, and I told it to many people at this camp. When they look at me, they talk, I say, listen, don't forget, I start like you.
Right. Everybody had to start somewhere.
Yeah, I didn't start like how I am today. The struggles that you have now, I had it too. I had the same thing. I hated that sweat drop in my face. I hate to have somebody's face right here.
In your face, yeah.
But you just gotta keep moving and be humble. Accept the facts, and work to change that.
Yeah.
That's what I usually tell everyone.
I really like the community in general because I have yet to have met, and I'm sure there's outliers, but I have yet to have met somebody who isn't willing to help, instruct, teach, guide. And I imagine a lot of that is because you don't get to your level, or even having, 5 years or 10 years. You don't get to that level unless you've gone through what I personally am experiencing right
100%.
now as a new practitioner.
100%.
So they remember, I remember what it was like to be frustrated or discouraged,
Yeah.
and here's what I did to come over. And so there's just a lot of that encouragement, although it's interesting because you are trying to hurt other people, and yet I was thinking about it. I have guys who, they're trying to hurt me, but then they're encouraging me to get better so they can't hurt me, and then we go back to them wanting to hurt me again.
It's crazy,
it's
right?
Really interesting.
They are tapping you, and they're like, no, man, when I tap you like that, you'll get a
Do
this. Then they catch you in
Do
another
the other
one.
side, yeah.
It's unbelievable. That's the feeling. And what I love in jiu-jitsu, in this, what you said, how helpful people are.
Yeah.
And they tell you, hey, man, I done that. Don't go in this route. You know, change a little bit. It's okay, but don't go in this way. Try to turn it. It's a little easier this way.
Yeah.
That's what's the beauty. Instead of like, I think some in jiu-jitsu we don't have that the guy like, no, I'm not saying anything. I went through that. You gotta go through too.
Right. I haven't. I'm sure there's people.
Probably, but I think
very
few. Very few. If you ask me, have you met someone like that? No. That I can. Probably I did, but I can't remember.
Right.
I can remember.
Why do you think that is? Because it is a competitive environment by its very nature. Mm-hmm. So why do you think that there isn't a lot of secrecy, or I'm going to withhold that style from you? There isn't that, although it is competitive, and having a competitive advantage is obviously going to be advantageous. So like, why is it working out like that?
I'll give you the answer that it might not make sense, but makes sense in my opinion. Is it's a family sport. You want to see your family succeed.
Sure.
You want to see, jiu-jitsu was created, developed by a family, a Gracie family.
Yeah.
That's why I think they want to help each other so much to grow. That's why they say, we enjoy jiu-jitsu, enjoy a family. You enjoy that family environment. I believe that's why you don't find many people like that. You find people that are, like parents, sometimes you got to give a tough love, and you're going to find people in your school that's going to give you the tough love.
No doubt.
But it's going to give you love. And they want, why they are doing that? They want you to develop it. They want you to get better. So that's my biggest belief in jiu-jitsu. And that's, I think that's attracts me a lot. It's the family idea. It's a family. It's a family. It's a family sport. It's a sport. Sounds crazy the way it sounds, but it's a family created that.
Yeah.
Years and years ago. And like a family, they fight too. But at the end, they are together.
Right.
At the end, they're like, if they need each other, they know they can count on each other. I think that's
I think that's a great point.
That's how I look at jiu-jitsu. I told you that to Pete one time. Pete was telling me like, Dedeco, when Pete came over to become my student, he was a purple belt, I think.
Okay.
And one day we were talking about that, and he's like, Dedeco, I can't understand that. Why is this feeling? Why is this feeling jiu-jitsu that you feel like you enjoy a group, you became a part of something. I say, Pete, it's because it's the family mentality. He's like, what do you mean? And then I explained it to him the way that I look at the Gracie family, and he's like, man, that make all the sense in the world. I say, yeah, if you think like that, it's a family sport.
Yeah.
It's
amazing too. When you look at the Gracies, for example, you see that legacy that has been passed down through generations. And I don't think you find that as frequently as, I don't know, maybe you once did, or specifically in this field. Parents start doing other things, kids start doing other things, grandkids start deviating and going a completely different way. But within the Gracies, you see that this is life.
It's their life.
Right, and it's generational.
It's generation. Now it's generation, and don't stop. Very rare you see a Gracie that's not involved in jiu-jitsu. Even the women's.
Is that right?
If they're not on the mat, they are part of the IBJJF, they are part of the association.
Yeah.
They are always involved. And many business, if you look at that, you don't see many businesses going through those generations.
No.
At some point, one generation sells everything.
Right. Or
screws
property. Right. I've seen that a lot with property. Is mom and dad will have, a ton of property. They were running a ranch, and then all of a sudden, little junior takes that property over, and then he subdivides it out, and then the family legacy is gone.
Exactly.
I mean, it happens
quickly.
You
see this all the time, right? With the Grace family, what I see and I believe, they just keep getting stronger and stronger and bigger and bigger and bigger. You see females like Kira Gracie. She has one of the most beautiful schools in Brazil. She runs a female that owns a school. And same thing, if you look at I don't even know how many Gracies are now. It's so many, and so many of them own schools, doing different things, different tournaments, different seminars, whatever. Yeah. But it is true.
Yeah. The other thing that I think a lot about too is lineage and how important that is, because one of the things that I, among other things that I think about, is there's no standard, if I am interpreting this correctly, between what is a white belt, what is a blue belt, what is a black belt, and it could vary so much. And you 100%. Even see it here. You might be rolling with a white belt because that's who I'm training with, who has 4 stripes, and then you roll with them. You're like, don't know if that's legitimate or not, right? So that lineage is very, very important.
Very important. Very important. I agree with you 100%. And one thing in jiu-jitsu that you said, the belts, it's sometimes you roll with a blue belt and you're like, man, these kids look like a brown belt. And you run with a brown belt, they're like, he should be a white belt.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? That's the variety. It's huge.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%.
So how do you, if you're looking into jiu-jitsu, I mean, I wouldn't know. I think I, in a lot of ways, got fortunate being synced up with Pete, then obviously the lineage through you. But how do you know if you don't have that or didn't fall into something that was, as credible as you guys have created? What are you looking for?
That's a hard one to answer.
Yeah.
It's, try to do a search, try to find where they are coming from. It is, and you see this all the time. I see people coming to the school all the time wearing belts that they don't belong in that one.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for them because someone is lying to them.
Right.
But on the other hand, sometimes the instructor is really good, but the person also don't put the time on. And he ended up getting those belts through the years, but he never really put the time to work on that belt.
Is the belt system? Sorry, go ahead. I don't want to interrupt.
Go ahead, ask him.
Well, I was going to ask: is the belt system? Let's say you're somebody's going to get their brown belt with you through you. Do you look at that as an objective standard, or do you base that on their unique ability and potential? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or is there some sort of objective mark that you say this individual needs to reach this mark, or is it vary based on who that individual is.
That's one problem with jiu-jitsu, and I think that problem it's take a while to be solved because in jiu-jitsu it's so hard to say what I said. A blue belt that look like a brown belt that look like a white belt.
Right.
You know, I think each school, each instructor, they have their personal way to say. Some people do tests, some people do exams or things like that. I don't.
Okay.
In my school, I do the way that I learn. So in our time, that's how it used to be on my time. My instructor, he told me, he came and he promoted me when he felt that I was ready for.
Right.
So it wasn't exam like, oh, you got to show me this.
What does ready for, though, mean?
Ready for the belt.
Okay.
And he knew. I don't know how to explain. I still do that. It's hard to explain, but you know when the person, by what he's showing, not only as a technique, but as an action, like on the mat. If he's being a good teammate.
His mentality?
Exactly.
Okay.
Because sometimes your technique level, it's up here, but you're not that mature for that level.
So you have almost two ways of looking. You have technique.
They have to walk together.
Right, okay.
You have to walk together. Because what happens is, I cannot never measure. Like, if I'm going to look, I get a 20-year-old kid that trains 7 days a week, like a maniac, compete everywhere. He's a blue belt. And I have another blue belt that he's 45 years old. He has 3 kids. He works full time, and he can train 3 times a week. I can't compare both.
Right.
On their limitation, how I do, I compare them with themselves.
Sure.
So usually when I'm going to give a belt to someone, I look at you. How were you a year ago?
Right.
Your progress. If you listen in what I'm telling, like in my explanations to you about the technique. When I teach a technique, if you understand and try, if you are helping your teammates, if you've been a good teammate, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's a different level. So how I promote people and I look at, it's like, for example, Pete. Pete, when I gave him his black belt, he was on the top of the competing Abu Dhabi, competing here, everywhere, training like a maniac. He was on the top of that. So he got the belt as like a high-level competitor. You know how he was doing. But he was young, the time was different. And same thing that I wouldn't, if I had to compare Pete with an average guy that, again, 45 years old, brown belts, that he's ready to forget his black belt, he wouldn't be on Pete's level of competing. But maybe he would be higher, his level would be higher than Pete as a teacher.
Right.
Did you get what I'm saying? It's that different levels of that. That's how it used to be in our time. You know, sometimes I was in a school and I really thought one guy that was really good in everything. I'm like, oh, he's going to get his belt today, in my mind. And then the belt promotion come and De La Riva didn't give it to him. And I'm like,
what's going on here?
Yeah, and I remember asking De La Riva. One time I said, De La Riva, I really thought you were giving such and such his purple belt. He's like, why, you crazy? And in my mind, I'm like, I'm crazy? I said, man, look at him. He's winning everything. He's like, that's it, Dedeco. He just win tournaments.
Right. So what?
That doesn't mean nothing jiu-jitsu. You know, jiu-jitsu is way bigger than that. But when he comes to the school, he doesn't help anyone. He's here for about himself. And you know what I'm saying? They all come together. I think like it's one of the hardest things in jiu-jitsu is knowing when someone is ready for the next level.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know if
it makes total sense.
What I'm saying?
Yeah, it makes total sense. You know, you're looking at their potential, their ability to step in their potential. What I would call, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, the hard skill, which is the technique, and the soft skill, which is the leadership, the mentality,
100%.
the teamwork, the camaraderie, that sort of thing.
100%.
So you have the hard and the soft working together, and that's what's going to determine those.
They walk together.
Sure.
They walk together.
Yeah. What should somebody like myself, and maybe this is some individualized coaching here at this point, as far as some basic conceptual principles of jiu-jitsu. Maybe we can talk about defense first a little bit, and then offense. So as me defending myself as a new practitioner, what are some basic conceptual starting points for me?
Number one, if you hurt, tap. That's the number one that
Yeah.
I tell everyone.
Yeah, because I'll be honest, there's some guys, I'm not tapping into this. I'm not doing it out of like principle or arrogance or whatever. I'm like, I'm not doing it. And then I end up hurting way worse than I need
100%. Ryan, that's why jiu-jitsu, I joke about that. I say, listen, when God, whatever, when the jiu-jitsu was created somewhere, they said, hey, the gift of jiu-jitsu is tap. That's the gift.
Yeah.
And that's the first technique you need to learn. I tell this to my student. Oh, what are we going to learn? We're going to learn how to tap.
How to tap.
First technique. Why? You can tap even if someone gets in your side control and you feel that your rib is going to pop.
And I have felt that before.
Tap.
Yes.
Tap. Just say, hey, stop. Let's move on.
Right.
I learned a great lesson. Do you mind if I interrupt that?
No.
From one guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
His name is Murilo Bustamante. I don't know if you heard of him.
No.
Yeah. So he was a UFC champion. He's a world champion. He's a coral belt now. He's Carson Gracie, our lineage. So one time I was grappling Murilo, right? Murilo taught me 2 times in my life, 2 lessons that were amazing. I was grappling him one time, and we are getting ready for a bigger competition. And his foot, I used to work a sweep that I used to trap your foot very well. And when I go to sweep you, if you didn't go, you would hurt your knee.
Oh,
That's
okay.
how tight the sweep was.
Yeah.
So I put everything on him. I was ready to sweep him. He's like, stop. And I stop it. He looked in my face like, oh, don't let me move my foot out. He took his foot. I had his foot trapped, ready to sweep him. He took his foot out of the position, put outside. He defended my sweep.
Right,
He's
by
like,
moving up
just
position.
by that. But stop the grab, stop. He said, let me took my foot. It's like somebody has a number on you. You ready to tap and say, stop. Let me move my arm out of here. Okay, let's go again.
It basically means you got me. Let's try something else. Okay.
See how smart. You're way smarter than me. Because see that, right? I didn't understand that. So
you were like, what the heck?
I said, what happened? He's like, what? I said, why did you move your foot? He's like, because it's going to hurt me. I said, yeah, but he's like, Dedeco, it's your sweep. You had it.
You got me.
We're going to compete in 2 weeks. I don't have time to recover from injury. You got me. Let's go again.
Right.
And that blew my mind. I'm like, this guy, this master, a world champion, he was so humble to say, hey, you got me, man. Let me move my foot. Let's keep it going. Mm-hmm. I'm not getting hurt because of my ego. Mm-hmm. No, that was one lesson that since that today, I do all the time. If I feel it's going to hurt me, stop, let me move.
Yeah.
And let's go again. And the other one, we are grappling one time, and all of us, like we are getting prepared for the Brazilian Championship, and we are grappling like maniacs, whatever. So everybody was kind of like winning the mats against him, like giving him a hard time. So we ended up talking we are below him. So we are all black belts, but we are below him.
Okay.
So we are on the corner talking and say, hey man, maybe we should talk to Murilo to don't compete. Maybe we should, I don't know, man. He doesn't look that good. I don't know what's going on, whatever. We all catching him there. So moving forward, we went to the tournament. He won the tournament. He won everything.
Really?
Killed everyone. Yeah. And we did well. Some won, some not, but whatever. So nobody understood, like, what the hell, man? He wasn't doing, what happened? So the week after, we are all at the gym. We used to have the meeting after the competitions. And he's like, talking. Then he looked at us like, yeah, guys, ask me the question. And we're like, well, ask me the question.
He knew it was coming.
He knew. So someone saw Murilo. And he's like, yeah, I was training something against you guys.
Oh.
So what he was doing, he was allowing us, attacking him everywhere, going back what I said, open yourself.
Right.
So when he went to competition, he could recognize all his opponent's movements before. So everything that he was like, oh, I know that Dedeco does this sweep really well. Let him sweep me. Let me see how he does, so I can stop that. So when he went to compete,
he could see all of that. Yeah.
That's what happened. He prepared himself by putting himself in those situations of, I don't want to say weakness, but like of losing.
Vulnerability
bit,
situation.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to open myself
right,
so I can see what am I doing wrong? Where they can catch me?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, that
two
makes a
big
lot of
lessons
sense.
you taught me.
Somebody had talked to me the other day. I said I was rolling, and I think they were watching, and I got somebody in like an arm triangle. I was on top, like mountain in an arm triangle, and stepped over the side. And for whatever reason, I feel really good about that movement, like the
It's a
movement
great
itself.
move.
And it feels good. It feels natural, and I can usually sink that thing in pretty tight. And I was telling whoever I was talking with that I'm like, I said that basically, and they said, well, maybe don't do it. So like do it so you can drill it, but maybe if you know you can get it, maybe get it, but don't go all the way with it. Just let it go and then move on to something else so that you can expand your horizons and your capability a little bit. That was an interesting thought for me.
De La Riva used to tell us that when you start to work a technique, the first time you like how you said, fits really well for me. It looks like easier. I can get you there.
Right.
Some techniques will fit you, and you're gonna say, "That's mine. I like that." So De La Riva used to tell De La Riva. That's how De La Riva taught me the process, the mindset. He's like, Dedeco, you're gonna try that technique 10 times when you start. You're gonna fail 9, and you're gonna succeed 1. Then, more you do it, that number is gonna get higher.
Sure.
You're gonna start some point. You're gonna hit the technique 10 times, and you're gonna succeed 10 times. But he's like, guess what? After a while, that number is going to decrease again. Out of 10, you're going to succeed 8. And he said, that's the time that you don't do anymore.
Oh, interesting. Why does it go down? Why do you start to decrease?
Because if people start to figure out what you're doing. Exactly.
Yeah.
They learn what you're doing, so they won't let you get that anymore. Or they're going to have a trap for you.
Right, so they'll
when
set
you go
something
for,
up.
they're going to catch you. Exactly. That's jiu-jitsu. It's the chess
Right.
game. It's all playing chess.
Right.
That's what he used to tell us. When that number starts decreasing,
Start switching things
stop, do something else. Let people forget about that one.
Right.
Then 1 year later, bring that one back. That's what he taught
Interesting.
us.
I also noticed I was rolling with somebody, I think it was last night, and he's a big guy, big barrel-chested guy, huge arms, no neck, and I just couldn't get it. And I'm like, okay, like if I become so reliant upon this thing, and I have a guy like this who I can't get this guy trapped in this.
It's the guys that we say we can't catch a triangle.
Yes.
It's impossible.
Right. And he was one of those guys, and I was trying as hard as I could, and I'm like, okay, this is not working. And so I abandoned it and ended up trying to work some other things. But yeah.
That's it. That's what he tells us.
Yeah.
If it's not working, do something. You gotta have as many options in your game. It's
Right.
like adding, adding like weapons to your game. The more weapons you have, more chances you have to succeed in the techniques.
What is the balance, though, between having a broad understanding of a lot, but maybe it's not as in-depth or technical as it could be, and having a few little tricks in your arsenal and being extremely, extremely adept with those things?
I mean more towards the last one.
Okay.
I mean more to. I prefer the guy.
Fewer things, better technique.
50%. I tell the 50%. The rule I use to my students rules of 50%. I prefer a guy that I know 50% in everything instead of a guy that I know 100% in one technique. Did you get what I'm saying?
You prefer the 50%.
I prefer the guy that you said
okay.
he doesn't have so many arsenals, but the few ones that he has,
okay.
he applies very
Perfectly.
Perfectly.
Right, okay.
Almost at the point that nobody can stop him. Instead of the guy that he has 100 arsenals and he's everywhere and he's nowhere.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Well, and it seems to me if you have that, because a lot of what jiu-jitsu is, from my perspective, is conceptual. It's leverage. It's being able to manipulate in your hips and things like that. That if you become very proficient at a few moves and techniques, that the other ones, you can pick those things up faster. I imagine that the speed of learning is exponential, because right now, as somebody who's been doing this for about 3 months or so, I'm just gathering this baseline foundational principles, and then everything else builds upon that.
100%.
But even these very technical moves and techniques are still built upon that foundation.
100%. If you don't know, remember what Vanusa said today? I don't know if Alexei, he said something in Portuguese when he started the white belt class.
Yeah.
He said this: if you have a really strong foundation, you can build a building of whatever levels you want.
Sure.
So he's always about like, with the stronger foundation, that's what I tell my students. When your foundation it's very strong, I can build on top of that. I build you with 20 floors, 10 floors, 5 floors. It's up to me. But when my foundation it's weak, I have to stop at some point. It makes sense.
You can't continue to build on something
it gets
that's not
to
there.
a point that I don't have the foundation. I won't understand the next techniques. My body won't respond to those movements, to those techniques. It is so important. Roger Gracie, it's one of the best competitors of all the time. His game, it's pure foundation. Everything that I don't know if you ever looked him up. Look him up and you see his matches. His best choke, it's a cross choke from mount.
Yeah, so very basic, simple.
But very well done.
Interesting.
You know, he's very, he does perfectly.
Right.
And that's what I believe. I believe in the foundation. In my school, I'm the one that teaches the white belts. I don't allow anybody to touch my white belts because I know when I teach them, that's not I don't understand my instructors, I do.
Right.
But I'm the one that I teach them because I want to make sure they learn a good foundation. Once they have that foundation, then they choose what they want to learn.
Sure.
Makes sense how much they
That's
want
where
to
their
progress.
style starts to develop
Exactly.
and things
That's
like that.
when you start like you. When you know, a year, 2 years from now, you're going to see your style. Like, hey, I really like this style. And that's how you move. You might tweak things here and there,
Sure.
but you're going to have your style.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, it's been an interesting journey. It's been a fun journey. It's been a painful journey. And I imagine it'll be more so of that. But it has been very interesting, very eye-opening. And I really like what you said as we started this conversation, that it helped you build your confidence, because I don't lack for confidence in my life, but I've even noticed starting this path and this journey that I've elevated that, and I walk a little different. I carry myself a little different. I feel better about what I'm doing. Even though I do get my butt kicked every day, I still feel good.
It's different. It's different. Builds your confidence. Help. I believe it helps with everything. Help kids. I have 2 kids. My 2 kids do jiu-jitsu, and talk about that tough age. My kids been in a situation, fortunately, that they had to use jiu-jitsu. They didn't hurt anyone, but
fights at school or something.
My son. What happened is my oldest son. My youngest son, he doesn't have much. My youngest son, he always been the tough one.
Yeah.
He's tough. He's actually, with him, more very careful he won't be the one.
Instigating
people.
some of that, right?
He's very, his confidence is up on the roof. But sometimes I have to chop that a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
But my oldest son, it was the opposite. And my oldest son started training jiu-jitsu really young with us. Really young. 3 years old he started.
Wow.
And he was, I don't know what age he started, but he used to be bullied in the school a lot, and he never done anything. And my wife used to get so mad at me, like, hey, you teach all these kids, and my son was doing jiu-jitsu already. And my wife, you teach all these kids how to defend themselves. You change these kids' life, because she hear the stories in the school, kids that had a bully problem, whatever they speak up for themselves.
Right.
Like, you can't help your own son. And I used to tell her that, and he hasn't used yet because he didn't need it. He didn't feel that he was threatened, like somebody was really
it wasn't serious enough.
Wasn't that serious.
Right.
People were messing with him or bullying him, but nothing that he felt like, oh my God, they're going to hurt me.
Right.
So moving forward, years later, he was in a situation at school, and 2 kids jumping on him, to really fighting him. 2 kids that I didn't like him. The funny part, the 2 kids that I bullied him all through primary school. Now he's a freshman, but when he was in the middle school, so those same kids. So one day they decided to jump on him. So my son put both kids down, and he didn't fight, but he threw both kids on the ground, held one by the neck. So he did the jiu-jitsu
what he was supposed to do, right?
And then, so he got home. So we got a call from school, all that thing, of course, right? And when he got home, he told you, the principal told us the story, but I waited until my son got home to tell me the story. And he couldn't speak. That's how excited he was.
Upset,
He was so excited, so afraid, excited, all that feelings. And my wife is on my side. So I said, Lucas, what happened? He's like, Daddy, I don't know. I'm like,
what do you mean?
What do you mean? He's like, I don't know. I said, what do you mean you don't know? Daddy, they came punching me. When I look, both were on the ground.
Oh my goodness.
Then I looked to my wife. I said, now you understand?
Yeah.
Jiu-Jitsu, it's on him.
Right.
He doesn't have to thinking about it.
Right. It's so intuitive.
His body so into him. His body knew what to do before his brain told him.
Interesting.
When he felt that he was going to get hurt, he react. That's Jiu-Jitsu. I said, Danny, when Lucas leave our home every day, he might forget his homework. He might forget his water bottle. But he never going to forget his Jiu-Jitsu. Jiu-Jitsu walks with him. And she looked at me and she gave me a big hug like, wow. Like,
this is working.
And that's working.
Yeah.
And so fine. Now the crazy part, they're all best friends.
Of course. Level of respect.
All
right? Respect. You have to earn that.
Change it. He earned the respect. Nobody bothers him anymore.
I think that's interesting because I think in society it seems to be trending towards, we have to be inclusive and we all have to hold hands and sing Kumbaya and do this. And it's almost forced in a way when in all reality, it's as old as man himself that you need to earn your position.
100%. Doesn't work like that.
Right.
Works very good in the movies.
Yes.
But in real life, doesn't work like that.
Right.
Doesn't work like that.
Yeah. That's good that he did that.
Oh, if you have a conversation about those things another day, right? How I think. No, doesn't work like that. Doesn't work like, even when the school called me, it was like, I said to the guy on the phone, like the person said, listen, what have you done for the past 5 years? When I went to you and told you what's going on with my son, clearly, whatever you were doing, the patch talking didn't work. So now he took action.
Right. Did what he needed to do.
And now it's going to work.
Did he get in trouble with the school at all?
A little bit, but I told he's like, I just said, he's not getting trouble home. When he gets home, I'm going to give him a big hug, and I'm going to tell him, if they do that again, you got to act how you did. Don't hurt them.
Right.
Don't hurt them.
Right.
But show them that you're not afraid.
That threat.
Exactly.
Sure.
And that's the beauty of Jiu-Jitsu. What the tap is in Jiu-Jitsu. I'm giving you the chance to surrender.
It's mercy.
I'm giving you the chance to say, hey, man, you got me. Let me go. Don't hurt me. If you try to fight, you're going to get hurt.
I can keep going.
It's your fault.
Yes.
That's what I tell everybody. When I see someone getting hurt in a submission and they get mad at the other person, I usually say, hey, no.
Tap.
It's your fault. That's why the first thing you got to learn in Jiu-Jitsu, how to tap.
Right. Right. What would you say is the minimum, I don't even know if this is a fair question, the minimum that somebody should train, is going one day is better than nothing.
No, 100%.
Let's say that.
100%.
But what is the minimum that somebody who really wants to be serious about jiu-jitsu should look into as far as training goes?
I'll say 3 times a week.
Okay.
It's a good number.
Yeah.
3 times a week is a good number. But try to get that as much as you can. One thing that I like to say, if you don't mind, is this. Even if you are late for class, go.
Still go.
It's not disrespectful. It's better going than not going. And I tell this to my student. I don't care how late you are as long as you come.
Right.
Because at least you're showing up.
Right, you're there.
Doesn't matter. So I would say 3 times a week it will be the great number. Twice a week is good.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Good
but
to know.
3 times a week, it's
that's
where
where you want to get to.
That's what I tell everybody.
Right.
3 times a week, it's a great number to do it.
Good. One of the things, and we're winding down here a little bit, but one of the things that you had said before we hit record is that you said, God didn't give me many talents or something along those lines. He said, you said, I hope, or he told me that I hope you find jiu-jitsu. So, I mean, do you really feel like you were born to do this, called to do this, that God gave you this ability?
100%. 100%. I joke about that. So the joke is, because I cannot even change a freaking light bulb in my house, without breaking the thing. I'm telling you, I'm terrible. I'm uncoordinated. I can't draw a straight line. I'm talking about my wife. Call my wife one day, you see it. I'm terrible. So I joke a lot about that. When I was, whatever we are there and was ready to come to this earth, God looked at me and said, hey kid, I'm going to give you one gift. I hope you find the gift, because if you don't, you're screwed. Find it. And the gift was jiu-jitsu. 100%. But I'm not talking jiu-jitsu It's as a competition level, like oh, the greatest competitor.
Right.
Medals get rusty,
Hmm.
and nobody remembers. I'm
Of
telling,
course.
nobody remembers besides myself.
Sure.
Nobody remember. The gift that I think jiu-jitsu that I got, this gift that people tell that I have, and I do believe I do have this jiu-jitsu gift because I love to teach people. That's my gift. I love to teach people. I love to pass it to people what jiu-jitsu has done for me.
Mm-hmm.
Show people how much this martial art can change someone's life and can change your life.
Mm.
Trust me, can. It's a great martial art. It's a great style. It's a great lifestyle type of thing. So that's I think the gift that I have is jiu-jitsu, but not look on the a great competitor, nothing like that. It's
Mm-hmm.
to spread the jiu-jitsu.
Right.
That's what I like it.
Yeah. Well, I can tell. I mean, obviously you have a knack for it. You've been doing it for a long time, and I can just tell it like permeates from you into your students. So
I'm crazy about that thing,
yeah.
man. I can talk about jiu-jitsu like whole day, every day. I love that thing. I can't live without.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I want to ask you a couple of questions. The first one I did prep you for a little bit, and that is, what does it mean to be a man?
It's funny. The answer is like it's a hard one to answer.
It
Like,
is.
what means to be a man for me? It's what I think you'll be a good example. You'll be a good example for everyone that surrounds you.
Mm.
You have people looking at you that you don't, looking up to you that you don't even imagine that they are looking up to you.
Mm-hmm.
You might be someone's role model. And what I believe being a man, it goes together with being a good human being. You have to be a good example. You have to, you know, you have to act the way that you preach. So if I say that I do that, you have to act like that. So I believe being a man, it's being a very good example for whoever look up to you, your kids, your wife, your family, your co-workers, the guy that you get the coffee every single day. I think that's a good example to be a man, to be a good person. And that's what I try to be every single day. Every person that I talk to me, doesn't matter about what jiu-jitsu life, I, I, I always like to leave a good impression when they see me the first time. And one thing comes together with that I think, it's not because you are a man that you don't have to smile. I think smile break doors, smile break eyes. Sometimes you look at someone, and just a little smile, you'll just like
That's all
break
it
the,
takes.
that's all it takes. Just
Yeah.
a little smile breaks everything, in my opinion.
I love it. Well, you're a man who's certainly living that, so I
live that,
appreciate
yeah.
that.
I'm always smiling.
Yeah,
Always, always, always,
absolutely.
always, always.
How do we connect with you? Where do we learn more? Where do we connect? Where do we reach out?
So you can, people can, my phone number is everywhere. I have my jiu-jitsu schools. One is in Weymouth, in Mass. Man, Jaco I felt so dumb. Jaco did a live on Instagram.
Okay.
He called me. Dedeco, where is your school? I didn't know. I forgot the address. I was
You have
so
that
anxious.
camera in your face.
Man,
It's a little
and then
different, right?
No, you know what scared me? When I saw the number. I
Oh,
shouldn't look at how many people were
not with
watching
him.
at that point.
Not with him.
I was
Yeah,
like,
it's crazy.
when I saw it was like 500 something, and then that thing gave him I started getting anxious.
That's funny.
So I forgot about. But people can find me on Instagram, the Deco BJJ. Facebook is always my name. I have two schools, one in Weymouth, one in Marshfield in Mass. You can find me in Oregon. You
Yes.
can find me anywhere.
All right, we'll sync it all up. I really appreciate you. I want to let you know we met last year at immersion camp, and I appreciate your instruction, our friendship, and everything that you've shared with me. So
All right, I appreciate
thank you for
too. It was
sharing
so
some wisdom
nice.
with us.
It was so nice to meet you. Thanks for everything. But I get a question for you.
Okay.
When you came last year, I remember you never done jiu-jitsu before, right?
No.
Or you did a little bit.
Yeah, maybe a month or so, if that.
How
I would say
was-
maybe 3 to 4 sessions of training before I came out.
So, coming to a jiu-jitsu camp with a month of experience, what did you feel after you left? Because I asked so many people this year that question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about, I don't know if we have time.
Oh, yeah.
But the question was, when you left here, you felt like, man, I gotta find a school. I gotta keep doing that. You're finding, I'm not sure it's for me. Was too much. What's your impression?
I was definitely sore. I remember that. I'm still sore. And I remember it being really overwhelming. There was a lot to it. So when I got back, I actually haven't trained for probably 9 or 10 months when I got back because life, right? There's all sorts of reasons I can come up with. So I've been training over the past 2.5, 3 months now. And I'll tell you, just having the 3 months under my belt has made this experience a whole lot more meaningful.
Got it.
It's not that that wasn't meaningful before, and it's not that I would discourage somebody who's never trained to come out. I would certainly invite them to come out. But if they're new, I would say just take it in stride a little bit and don't put a lot of pressure on yourself, undue pressure, I should say, on yourself to be out here. But with a little bit more training, not a lot, but a little bit more training on my belt, I'm definitely more adequately prepared mentally for being out here.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you. I'm sorry. I know you have to ask me, but
no,
I asked every single person that I came back from last year because I was with the white belt. I think last year I was with the white belts most of the time.
Is that right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think so. I think like I was with them most. I think every day I was with them at some section. And everybody that I came back last year, I have a couple people that I started jiu-jitsu at camp, and they said, like some said, I went straight to find a school. Some like I couldn't find a school. Was it different? So I'm asking everyone the same question.
Probably a pretty wide spectrum as to what they did. Yeah.
Was, and the first answer, I was very sore.
Yeah.
All of us. Yeah. Exactly.
I think it might be a personality thing more than a camp thing. I think you're going to find naturally certain people are just willing to thrust themselves into the fray a little bit and figure out things along the way. And I think others need to be more calculated about it. And that probably will create some of the experience for you as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks
so
again,
much.
brother. I appreciate you.
Thank you.